It was one of the last ones of the summer. LaMarcus coming back. Just how important was that for you guys in terms of kind of lengthening this front court and the options you guys have there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. Obviously, we were very excited to have him last season, and unfortunately, didn't finish the season. But I mean, he's a extremely talented basketball player with a high IQ, who sort of just fits into what we're doing here. So anytime you can add that amount of talent, at that point of the offseason, at that point of free agency, I think it's a huge win.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Blake, what does it mean to you to continue your next chapter of your career here in Brooklyn?
It meant a lot. I mean, this was once I got here and sort of saw the organization from top to bottom. This was a place that I felt like was sort of a no-brainer for me to come back here. It's not often that you get to play for an organization that you really feel like personally like has everything handled from top to bottom. From owner all the way down to the players, the staff, the coaches, the performance staff, whatever it is. I think they do a great job, and people take their jobs within this organization very seriously. So for me, it was a great situation, and I was excited to be back.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Hi, Blake. Can you just describe your thoughts on the improved depth in the front court with the veterans that are coming in, not only LaMarcus, but Millsap, James Johnson, and so on, and how much better equipped do you think the Nets are now to win a title than even they were last year?
Well, I think starting off this season with the team that you'll probably see finish the season. Last year, I don't know how many guys came and went throughout the season, including myself. But as far as the front court, I mean, Paul, LaMarcus, like I already talked about, I mean, just veterans that have played for a long, long time. They're still very good, still very talented, played a lot of meaningful basketball, and guys that aren't going to be afraid to take a shot or make the right play at the right time. So I think that was like a focus for us coming in to the off season. And I thought Sean, as always, did a great job of, putting together a plan and executing on that plan.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press.
Hey, Blake. Steve was saying last week that looking back at that last series in the playoffs, he was happy with the way you guys defended and everything like that. You had that Giannis matchup a lot. Looking what he did the rest of the playoffs, how do you feel like you handled that personally?
Well, I mean, when you're playing a guy like Giannis, it's a team thing. I wasn't really left on an island. We packed the paint. We did the things that we were supposed to do, the things that other teams did. I just think that I thought we did a pretty good job of making it tougher on him. But still, a player that is that dynamic is still going to find points. We just try to make sure that, especially in the fourth quarter, those easy buckets weren't coming. So, hopefully we have, that experience to build upon, next time we play them.
Tina Cervasio, Fox 5.
Hi, Blake. I actually have two questions. The first one is, of course, you signed your extension this summer and the 1 year. And James Harden earlier just spoke about he's kind of going to wait about talking extension talks because he wants the Nets to build this into a fortified championship team. When you're looking at both of your legacies and him as a leader kind of making that decision, what are your thoughts on that? James trying to give others an opportunity as he's trying to win his first championship.
I mean, it's great. I think we're all sort of in the same boat here. I think we all, for the most part, obviously Kevin and Kai have won, but most of us, have had some individual success, but never won a championship, some more than others, James, obviously. But I think, everybody's sort of coming together for this common goal says a lot. And I think that's sort of the same idea. That's really the only goal that we have. The only agenda we have is to win a championship.
And I do have a sort of other question. This past week, I've heard rave reviews about your golf game, and you played in Harrington's outing. So if you just started this summer, can you give us a little glimpse on when you started and how you've quickly developed your game?
It's not great. I don't know who lied to you, but I appreciate them doing that. I just, picked it up this summer. I started playing when I got back. I think my first time I played was like mid-July, and it was awful. Lost a lot of balls. But then I sort of like that competitive thing took over. So I would like go work out in the morning, like basketball and all that. And then I would just go to the golf course for, 3-4 hours a day, not a day, but like 3-4 days a week, maybe. So I hope I've gotten better since that first outing.
Justin Walters, picks 11.
Blake, before you got to Brooklyn, it felt like you were in purgatory from the outside perception, and there were even questions at times if you could dunk again. Was there a newfound energy that you had from playing here, and what do you think a full season with the Nets can lead to?
Was there a newfound energy? Yeah, I think, I've spoken about it before, but just felt like after training camp last season, never really got my legs back under me. And then, was figuring out what I was going to do next, and, got to be at home and train for, 5 weeks, which never really happens in the middle of the season. And came here, and I think their, performance staff, strength staff, everybody here does a great job. So, I think those things combined were sort of a new renewed energy. But, I'm just excited to get back on the court after having a healthy off season and finishing the season healthy.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Blake, I got two for you. What's up, man? We said when we talked to you in the summer, right after you re-signed, you hadn't really been able to watch much summer league. I don't know how much pickup you've played, but have the young guys, Cam, Dayron, made any impressions on you? And as an aspiring comedian, did you see David Letterman here?
Did I see who?
David Letterman.
I almost made a joke. I was like, whoa, he looks like David Letterman. When I saw somebody turn the corner, and I was like, oh, I didn't know David Letterman came to our media day. Wow, okay, missed that one. Back to Dayron and Cam. I played a good amount of pickup with him. Cam, same, sort of the same impressions that I had, during summer league, just a dynamic scorer, and great kid. Both of them great kids. Cam, you can just see how like hungry he is to learn about the game of basketball, which I think is it's always like a intangible that is so helpful for young players. Dayron, just like his like raw potential is kind of scary. He hasn't quite figured out, especially in pickup, that we're not like crashing the glass over people's backs yet. So took a couple elbows from him, but no, he's also a great kid, and his upside is huge. So I'm excited to work with them and be around them this season.
James Herbert, CBS Sports.
Why is David Letterman here? That was his question?
Was one of them.
Oh, okay, one of several. Okay, all right.
Are you jealous that David didn't show up and ask you a question too?
No, it makes sense. Honestly, I would ask Katie a question too.
You mentioned a healthy offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like you talked about the break you had last year, like when you left Detroit, it wasn't just you came right here and started playing and that helped you get your legs under you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what was it like just having an actual full healthy off season where there's nothing nagging you can just prepare normally?
I think it's huge. The last time I truly had that was before the 18-19 season, and felt great all season, and played in I think like 75 games. So for me, preparation is key. And being able to prepare all off season how I want to is huge. It not only puts your mind at ease, but obviously you get to build upon, like I said earlier, where I left off. And I felt great in the playoffs. So, and I feel better now. So that's just mentally and physically a huge plus for me, obviously.
Next question from Zoom, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, what's up, Blake? Happy Media Day.
Thanks.
Quick question. Can you kind of describe some of those wars going against Patty when you were on the Clippers and he was on the Spurs, and what it's going to be like now to have a guy like that in your locker room going to war alongside you?
Yeah, I think Patty was just like there's always like certain guys on certain teams where it just seems like they always make like a play or a big shot, and not necessarily like, you know, the LeBrons or those guys. There's just always a guy who just comes up big with like a steal, a great pass, or whatever it is. And Patty was always kind of one of those guys to me. Just like a really good basketball player. Obviously can shoot the ball really well. But he's more than just a shooter. I think he does a good job managing games. He does a good job in pick and roll, playing passing lanes, you know, whatever it is. So I always love having guys like that, you know, on my team as opposed to having to go against them.
Got time for two more. Simone Sandri, La Gazzetta dello Sport.
Yes, you obviously have a very talented and deep roster. And also you have a lot of veterans who make financial sacrifice to sign with the Nets. Is there a risk that there are not going to be enough minutes for everybody? And how do you deal with that mentally going into camp and during the season?
I think like I talked about earlier, everybody's here for a common goal. And sometimes in certain situations, you have to sacrifice certain things. I mean, when I came here in March, you know, I didn't know exactly how many minutes were going to go around. But that was a chance I was willing to take. And a lot of times you just gamble on yourself a little bit and say, you know, I know how to play basketball and I'll earn the minutes if I deserve the minutes. And you know, I think that's sort of the common idea with all of us. I mean, it's going to be by committee. I mean, those three, our big three are big three. They're obviously going to be on the floor all the time. Joe Harris, same way. Patty Mills is going to play. But sometimes we'll have to do things by committee. Sometimes it's your night, sometimes it's not. And when it's not, you have to support everybody and contribute however you can.
Last question for Blake, Jen Williams, Fox 5.
Blake, James was saying earlier how this squad doesn't need a whole lot of coaching. One, what do you guys learn from one another? And on a separate note, what do you expect to see from Steve Nash in his second year?
Well, sorry, what was the first question?
Oh, sorry. Just Harden was saying how this is a squad that doesn't need a whole lot of coaching. I even think last year he said sometimes you guys just know what the other is thinking. So what do you guys learn from each other on a daily basis?
I think just the more you're around each other, the more you talk basketball, the more you sort of see things through other people's eyes. I mean, there's obviously more than one way to go about playing a basketball game, different styles, different philosophies. But to me, it's like, it's just more important to get it right than to be right. Like nobody needs to necessarily be right as long as we're all on that same page. So it's great. That's one of the things that I was talking about earlier today is I don't think our big three especially get enough credit for their basketball IQ. I mean, maybe James does the most. I don't really know, but those guys all love the game of basketball. They love to talk the game of basketball, and they all think the basketball is pretty much the same way. So I think those things are huge. And as far as Coach Nash, I'm excited, man. I was so surprised at his poise and his ability to connect with the team so quickly on in his coaching career. I know he's sort of been around as a consultant the last few years, but I mean, he's just always so you know, level-headed, so calm. And a lot of times he comes in the locker room halftime or whatever it is, and he's saying the same things that we're talking about before he comes in. So anytime you feel like you're on the same page with your coach, it's always helpful.
I remember when you were in LA, you really embraced the culture and kind of gotten down the lingo. You've been in Brooklyn now for a few months. What can you say about being a Brooklynite?
Still working on that. You know, wasn't really immersed in the community last year due to COVID, but looking forward to being more in Brooklyn this year.